Well, hello. I don't know if anybody's going to be listening today. I kind of picked a weird day for this, but it's a day I have off from work. So here I am live streaming. And let's see, tomorrow is Labor Day. So I have tomorrow off, and I'm really happy about that. I definitely need my day off and catch up on a whole bunch of stuff. I had a couple of things I thought I'd bring up. Just checking my microphone here. All right, that probably sounded really gross, but doesn't look like anybody's watching yet anyway, so I may have gotten away with it. So working in the garden, I'd originally planned I was going to try and do this from the garden, but I tried it out, was it last weekend, I guess, and yeah, there's just not enough signal out there. I can actually get the internet. I went out later and tried surfing the internet out there, and I can do that from my iPad, but apparently I can't live stream from out there in the garden, so yeah, gave up on that. So we're in the living room. I almost did the kitchen just for variety, but I've had this ongoing decluttering project, and it has moved into the kitchen, so right now the kitchen is a mess till I get that done. But been picking lots of stuff from the garden. It's slowed down a little bit. We've had warm weather, but we've had a lot of smoke in the air from the fires out west. I mean, it's very smoky here. If you hear me hacking and coughing during this, that's why. It's all that smoke from out west. And I think I can be glad that it's smoke that I'm experiencing and not the actual fire. So I guess I'd be glad for small favors. Yeah, I have a notebook here with a couple of topics for the beginning of this puppy. But yeah, I don't... There must be some science behind it. I should know it, but things just don't seem to get ripe as quickly when there's smoke in the air. I'm probably going to harvest the last of my beans tonight. I'm going to harvest a bunch of banana peppers. I'm planning to pickle the beans. I want to pickle the banana peppers too. We'll see how much pickling I can get done tonight. I'm not really a canner, but pickling has been interesting. I have some pickled eggplant in the basement that in a few more weeks will be ready for me to try it. I'm very curious how that comes out. I pickled it with garlic and mint recipe I got, so that'll be very interesting. I also have some squash that are ready for me to... I have kind of a squash hot dish I'm going to make. It's you put it kind of with an egg white and some cheddar cheese, and it's good. It's just a different way of cooking squash. Let's see what else. Oh, laying just out of reach of me, I went nuts and purchased a Pilot, 4 different size Pilot parallels. Yeah, 4 of them. I don't remember the sizes off the top of my head, and they're just out of reach. And I have to shove all this out of the way to do it. So, well, unless somebody really, really desperately wants to know, I'll just leave them there. Hello, BDM 450. Good to have somebody here. I see there's 8 people watching. Like I said, I didn't know how many would show up on a strange day like today. Hello, Troy. Good to have you here. Labor Day weekend, as I thought about it, I realized that, oh, yeah, they're all going to be off doing Labor Day things. Hello, Jason. That is a good name. My first name is Jason. But yeah, as I thought about it, oh, Labor Day weekend, not so smart because everybody's gone. I decided not to go anywhere Labor Day weekend. Next weekend, I'll be going to Mandan for a cross-country meeting just to get out of the house. A lot less people everywhere on a non-holiday, so I was home this weekend. Hello there, Ink Guy. Good to have you. Oh, you grew up in Mandan, you say? Are you the one that you're the one that's talked to me about Bismarck, aren't you? Now that I remember that. Yeah, the cross country meet is at the Mandan golf course, but of course that's my opportunity to get to the city. I need shoes and a couple other things, and with the clothing stores gone out of the mall in Dickinson and out of my small town here, I need to go somewhere where they still exist. So that'll be a good thing to do along with getting a chance to watch cross country. Well, hello, Peter. Welcome. Oh, from the Czech Republic. Wow. So the smoke in the air is really doing a number on my throat. So you'll see me guzzling that a lot. But good to have you, Peter. I'm trying to think. I have another viewer from the Czech Republic. I'm trying to remember which one it is. Oh, you're in Boulder now. Wow. I've never been to Boulder, but I actually have a student who is now going to the university there in Boulder. He's going into, is it aerospace engineering? Something like that. An integration strategy for technology in my class. Well, working on it. I really am liking OneNote. I'm handing out all my materials with OneNote, and of course Logger Pro, Teams. Sorry. Country of Central Pen. Yes, one of my favorite brands. You know, I'm so glad I got into these Eastern and Central European pens because Central Pen was an amazing discovery. Nice pen store in Boulder. Well, I'm sure this Boulder sounds like an interesting place. I need to get there sometime. Hey, Greg, good to hear from you. Birmingham, Alabama, another place I've never been. I have kind of a goal. One of these days, I'd like to go visit the southeastern United States. I've been southwestern United States all the way from Arizona, New Mexico over to Texas, but never the southeast. And I've watched a few things that took place there. It just kind of seems like a cool area. I want to see it. So, you know, and I'm not too much into the big cities. I want to get out and see the small towns. Well, hello from New Zealand. There's another place I would love to visit. Some of my friends had a farmhand who worked for them for 2 summers who was from New Zealand, and he showed me some pictures, and I just like, wow, it really does look just like in the movie The Hobbit. Of course, he's probably showing me the best parts, but yeah, that was interesting. Now he's a farmer back in New Zealand in his own right. He was just kind of earning the money to get into farming there. So glad to have you, even if you are at work. I couldn't get away with watching this at work because the kids would probably notice I'm not teaching them. So glad to have you. Let's see, anything else exciting going on here? I'm just looking at my pens. I think I showed my pens in use. I'm still not finding a date code on this Parker Dual Fold. 2 hands. Oh, so they have a website. I'm going to write that down, actually, because I will probably forget that by the end of this video. 2 hands. Papyri.com. I will definitely check that out. Yeah, Lamy has been getting into more stores. I actually, when I bought, well, this Sonnet in Fargo, when I was in the, I saw some old Lamys at the store where I bought this, but then I went out to Barnes & Noble another day, because of course I have to, and they had a whole bunch of Lamy fountain pens at the Barnes & Noble. Basically Safaris. I didn't see anything expensive. That other small one that I forget what it's called, but you know, it was Lamys. That was pretty cool. Vanishing Point in Boulder. Okay. Yeah, I own a Vanishing Point. It's I don't use it much, but I do own one. So yeah, I'll have to check into that. That's kind of neat. Yeah, Barnes & Noble, well, I don't get to them that often, so it's kind of a treat. The nearest Barnes & Noble for me is in Bismarck, which is 3 hours away, and it was about 180 miles or so. I just don't get there. But it's kind of fun just to go in there, even though it's not a local bookstore, because southwestern North Dakota, we don't have that. Hello, March Meadow. Good to have you from the United Kingdom. That's pretty fun. I have a few viewers actually from the United Kingdom, which has always surprised me that somebody where I live has an international reach. But yeah, on the subject of Barnes & Noble, I've always loved bookstores. As a kid, of course, in the malls, there was always a Waldenbooks, and what was the other one? Started with a B. Not coming to me right now. I remember down in Harrisburg, the one that starts with a B actually had 2 stories in it. There was an upper level and a lower level in one of the malls in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah, they do have some Borders. That might have been it. But yeah, Lamy, that gives you some. Yeah, they do have good paper. Now, it wasn't Book a Million, but Borders, that's possible. I might have to see if my father remembers. Waldenbooks, and yeah, I just can't come up with the other one right now. Probably watch as soon as this live stream is over, I'll remember. There used to be both of them up in the mall in Minot also, and in Bismarck. Of course, they're gone now. Barnes & Noble has taken that spot. The mall in Minot actually has a Barnes & Noble in it. Bismarck, it's across the street from the mall. No bookstore in the mall at all. Oh, Borders. That's right. Borders did go bust a few years ago. There used to be one in Rapid City. It was bought out by Books A Million. I was in it once after it became Books A Million. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did when it was a Borders. I don't know why. To be honest, I hate to say this because I want to support local businesses and so on, even though these are big chains, but a lot of my book shopping now has become Amazon. Of course, where I live, there are no bookstores, so it's really hard to get into one. Let's see, there's a used bookstore in Dickinson, but it's associated with the library, and it's always closed when I'm in Dickinson because it's only open during the week, and I work during the week. Several nice used bookstores in Rapid City and a few around Minot and Mandan. Or, no, Minot lost theirs, around Bismarck and Mandan. So I do love a used bookstore, especially a good one. So what do I think of my Pilot Justice 95 as a daily writer, and do I use a Con 50 in it? It's hard to clean. Con 50. I want to say I use a Con 70 in it. It's the push button one. Haven't found it too hard to clean. What I do with the Con 70, honestly, I have a ink syringe, so I just use the ink syringe and wash it out with plain water, and it comes right clean. I haven't had trouble with ink getting behind the converter. As far as being a daily writer, hello, Annie. As far as being a daily writer, I think the Pilot Justice is a very good daily writer. I sometimes have used it as such. I like my Lamy 2000. That's what I use most of the time. But the neat thing with the Pilot Justice is you can adjust it from soft to fine. I know back when I was teaching math, especially, that was a fun one to do math with in the hard setting, and then I'd switch it to soft for my writing, and that worked pretty well. Hello, Matt. Glad to have you here. I hope I don't disappoint. This is only my second live stream. I tried watching a few of the other people who do live streams just to get an idea how to keep these things going. But let's see, but as far as the Pilot Justice, absolutely a great pen. And it works very well as a daily writer. And I kind of like that it's understated. Not as understated as some other pens, but definitely a plain black pen that people don't say, ooh, when they see it. It just slips by kind of under the radar, and I like that. Hello, Peter. Good to have you. Another one from the UK. So, wow, the UK is getting represented here, and we've got New Zealand, and we have the Czech Republic, so that's pretty fun. One of these days, I will get to some other countries. So far, my international travels have been limited to Canada, but the day will come. I'm saving my pennies. A lot of my pennies are going to be going toward a new roof on this house, but I will get there. So how to stop ink from going behind the converter? I don't have a good idea. I've seen that one of my platinum converters also does that. I think some people have he uses silicone grease. They'll take it apart and they'll rub it with silicone grease. Yeah, that's all I've ever come up with. On the Con 70, yeah, if it's getting behind everything, that's, that means there's a leak somewhere. I don't have it out or inked or anything, but I also have a piston demonstrator. It's a Omaso Giva that some of the ink has worked its way behind the piston. It's just sort of, go away, but I can't get rid of it. That's frustrating. Oh, good to have somebody from Fargo. So you've probably been to Zanbro's, where I have purchased this pen, and you've been to the Fargo Barnes & Noble, I'm sure, where they have the Lamis. Hello, Janice. Good to have somebody from Texas here. One of the fountain pen reviewers, Larry Barones, lives down in Texas somewhere. So happy to have you. I'm getting quite a wide variety of people here. Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm sure. Zanbro's is a really cool store. I wanted to do a video tour of it this summer, and I recorded the footage, and I don't know what I did. Something stupid, but I could not. It was not on the camera. Nothing from that whole trip was on the camera. I wish now that I would have immediately that night taken the footage off the camera, because I was really sad that I couldn't share that. Oh, he lives near you in Fort Worth. Okay. And I suppose near is a fairly relative thing down in a place like Fort Worth. When I think near, I'm thinking a few blocks. When I talk to my friends who are ranchers, they're saying, "Oh yeah, my next door neighbor," and they're talking about somebody 10 miles away. I suppose in the city, pretty spread out. Oh, another one from Texas. Good to have you, Beverly. So, oh, okay, yeah, that's something that would be fun to have as a pen club. That's something we do not have here. Peter, best dark blue ink with a good price value ratio. Okay, it's not exactly a pure blue, but one that I really enjoy is the Pilot Blue Black. And, it's a blue black rather than just a blue, but it's very dark and I think very attractive. I don't own a whole lot of blue inks, come to think of it. Trying to think. Well, Noodlers has a navy. That might be very hard to find in the Czech Republic, though. Yeah, I think Pilot Blue Black is a good one. Oh, good to have somebody from Switzerland. That's an interesting country. I'm trying to remember. I just read something about Switzerland in the news recently. I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have read that about Pelican inks, that they are on the dry side. And I like the Pelican Violet, but I don't use too many Pelican inks. And that's part of the reason they are dry. The Pilot is nice, but it's a little bit different. It can kind of feather on some paper. Beverly loves Central pens. All right, I like that. Yeah, I need to look and see if I can find a modern Central pen on. I feel like I've got all these from the 50s and the 60s. I need something more modern. Diamine, Oxford Blue. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with that brand. So, yeah, I think they're pretty good. Another one I just have to think, Dea Trementis, what was it called? Atlantic Blue? Can't remember. Diplomat, never have used Diplomat ink. Didn't even know they had ink, so thank you. I put that on my list of something to check out, too. See, I'm learning. What are my views on Bay State Blue? I actually like it a lot. I can guarantee it's only ever going to go in one pen, though. That's a staining bugger, and that pen is stained. I use it in my Waterman Hemisphere, which is actually clean right now. Very complex. I actually stained that wall over there with Bay State Blue once. I ended up. Well, there's a reason this that's one of the reasons I was encouraged to turn this room this color, because I had to cover that up. That wasn't coming out. Let's see. Karan Dash. Oh, yeah, that's a Swiss ink. Was I reading something about Karan Dash in the news about Switzerland? That's possible. Yeah, Diamine has quite a huge range of colors. You're right, Elizinda. They are, and they're basically fountain pen friendly. There's one I don't like, the Ancient Copper, because it made so many crusties on the pens I tried it in. But yeah, there are nice colors. Let's see. Pilot, which is smoother, the 823, Pelican 805, or Lamy 2000? I would say the 8. No, I've never used the medium for any of these, but I'd say the 823 is a little smoother than the Lamy 2000, and I say a little. But the other side of that is it's finer, so you get that also. I have never in my life used a Pelican 805, so I can't say anything intelligent about that. I am sorry. China Blue. I have used a sample of China Blue, but you're right. That's not a very dark one. I liked it, though. Oh, you live 15 kilometers. Okay, so you're close. Wow. Yeah, that would be tempting. Let's see. How did Bay State Blue? Okay. Filling a pen, and you don't know it, but this video is actually sitting on like a folding TV tray. That's what I use because I don't really have a desk. And the phone rang. I got up to answer it, and I knocked it over, and the bottle just splashed across the wall. That's how it ended up on the wall. Yes, I don't have the Pilot Blue Black in the 350, but I did buy Pilot Black in a 350. I gave away a whole herd of fountain pens last year, so that's what I used to fill them, and I keep what remains of that bottle in my classroom. Some of the kids still use the fountain pens or have others, and they have an ink bottle in my room that they can refill them from. Sailor Gentle. Oh, that is a nice blue. Let's see. Muzzle top. Oh, thank you, Jerry. Good to have you. Hopefully I don't say anything horrible. I'm learning with this, but unlike when I do my videos, I can't edit myself later when I say, oh, that's bad. Diamond. Oh, I don't know Diamine Regency Blue. What was the first pen and ink combination that I remember most besides the Lamy 2000 and Lamy Black? Well, I'll tell you. For the first, let's say, 20 years of my life, basically, I would use a Parker Vector and I always filled it with Parker Quink Black. When I bought that Parker Vector, it came with the washable blue cartridges, and I hated that color. I just immediately hated that color. So I purchased. I started using the black instead. I've always liked black ink. I don't know why, but it's just kind of a thing. So yeah, that's probably the first one I remember. I also, this isn't quite the same, but I really like a Lamy 2000 in the broad nib with Noodler's Black Swan and Australian Rose. So that's another good combination I like. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying the Pilot Blue Black, Jerry. I like it. I bought the Parker Blue Black when I got back into Parkers this summer, thanks to Zan Bros. But I still just, that Pilot Blue Black is just such a nice color. Peter, yeah, you have no idea how good I am at blurting things out and saying, oh, I didn't just say that. Oh, your go-to black is Diamine Onyx. Yes. On your recommendation, Matt, I tried it. I liked it. I just, I don't know, I like the Lamy Black better. I can't even really tell you why. But I did try it. And you recommended another Diamine Black, too, if I remember. That's not coming to me, but yeah. Diamine is good ink, and I really do need to explore that world. I don't know why I haven't. Oh, March Meadow is using Black Rose at the moment in Pelican. So I suppose it's shading well. They have, I have a vintage Pelican, and I have the 200, which is boxed up because I am gifting it to somebody. So it's in a Peyton Street's box. I'm gifting this. He's not watching, but so this will probably be a surprise to him when it arrives at his house. Let's see. Lost my place here. Oh, Jordan, glad you're enjoying the videos. Yeah, it's pen reviewing is interesting. I have learned a lot about pens, and I've just learned a lot about presentation. I didn't know, and part of it, I just look at them and I think, okay, what are my students seeing when I present in front of the classroom? So I think it's been good for me overall. Greg asked if I've used any Indian pens, like an Ebonite Gamma Hawk. I have used a few Indian pens. I'm just looking to see if I have one over here right now. Let's see. I have a Camlin somewhere. Is this an Indian? No, that's a Senator. I have a Camlin. I've got not very many. Actually, Jerry sent me a few Indian pens. Maybe he can remember what the brand is. I think I've found them variable. Some are very high quality. Some are just kind of, ooh. You know, it's depends on which one you buy, I suppose. I'll be honest, though, the Ebonite Gamma Hawk is not one I've ever tried. March Meadow mentioned Aurora Black, and yes, that's a very black. I like it. I use Lamy Black mostly, but I really do like the Aurora Black also. Just trying to read here. Oh, yeah. Now Jerry is saying that the Bay State Blue gums up his pens. I guess I've always been one that I pick a pen and I use Bay State Blue. With my first Bay State Blue pen was a TWSBI 540, which had the whole cracking issue, which definitely gave me Smurf stained hands. And then after that, I switched to this Waterman Hemisphere, which it's behaved very well in. Hasn't really gummed it up. I mean, I can go, and partly it's the pen, of course, but I'll go like a couple of weeks without writing with it, and it starts up like a champ. But Bay State Blue does not play well with other inks. I mixed up some Bay State Blue with, I don't remember. Anyway, just to see what would happen. And yeah, it made a gummy ick mess. See, ink guy likes, oh yeah, Noodler's Dark Matter is a nice black. It reminds me a lot actually of the Parker Quink black. It's very well, I think that's the idea. It was meant to replicate some of the vintage black inks, especially of the era at which Robert Oppenheimer's there on the bottle, of course, the 1940s. Yes, Matt, there is a lot of choice with diamine inks. I really just need to investigate them. March Meadow mentions Noodler's Brexit. That's the one that has, it can go, is that the one that can go red or blue? Nathan does some interesting things with ink chemistry. I really appreciate. Like I have in this pen right now, I have his Black Swan and English Rose, and it's interesting, his whole story about how it's represents the poppies and so on. It has the dark center and the red, and it's also semi-water resistant. The red kind of washes off, but the dark stays. Very cool. Cool concept. Let's see, Camlin in Denver. Yeah, it's a quality pen. Mine's a Camlin Sovereign, I think. My favorite oddball ink. That's a good question. Noodler's Rome Burning. It is so much fun to get that ink and then run it under the water and have the brown wash off and you're left with the lavender. That's my favorite oddball ink. Let's see. Oh, Jason's first ink was Parker Quink Blue. Yeah, I suppose that was mine too, because those were the cartridges that came with my Parker Vector I bought back when I was 10 years old. But I wanted black ink, so I quickly switched to black. Can I recommend a vivid blue ink that isn't as gummy or as prone to staining as Bay State Blue? Okay, I'll be honest, blues aren't in my wheelhouse. I actually own very few blues. Several Noodler's offerings, the Himalaya blue, but it's not as vivid. Yeah, a vivid blue ink, because Bay State Blue is definitely unique. Greg asked what's wrong with Noodler's Black. Absolutely nothing. In fact, I like it a lot. The biggest problem I had with Noodler's Black was in my Pilot Custom 823. I would write for a while, and then I would stop writing because the air would go up the feed, and then it would get trapped and form a big bubble right there at the bottom. And then once you run out of the ink that's in the feed, it would just stop writing. That was one of my biggest objections, and it did that with a lot of my cartridge pens too. It's just like it was too viscous to let the air bubble up. Behaved well in my Lamy 2000, and I honestly have no problem with Noodler's Black. I have a bottle. Okay, March Meadow. Okay, Brexit is purpley. Okay. Was it Noodler's Polar Bear Blue in your last pens in use? It looks more gray than icy blue. I don't actually have Polar Bear Blue in my collection. What I do have that you might be thinking of is something called Blue Nose Bear, and it's sort of a, should I call it a teal color? I'm not good with color names. It's meant to have kind of a darker center and then feather a really light, bright blue, but it doesn't really feather on most paper for me. Oh, BDM 450. Thank you. Yes, I didn't even think of that. Noodler's Blue is a very nice blue, and it's a pretty standard safe ink also. Robert Oster Bondi Blue. Ooh, I didn't even think of Robert Oster. Yeah, they have some nice blues. Bondi Blue is actually on my list of ones I want to try. Thank you. Visconti Blue. I'm trying to think if I've ever used a Visconti ink. I know they're the ones that have the slender bottom on the bottles and then the wider. Oops, autofocus didn't like me doing that. They're the ones that have the wider top. That's a good thought. Robert Oster School Blue. Private Reserve Spearmint. That's a nice color. I haven't used my. I got a little nervous about Private Reserve. What was it? Burgundy, I think. Had a bottle of Private Reserve Burgundy, and one day I went to fill my pen, and it was like somebody had sneezed in the bottle. There was this slime in it. Of course, I knew what it was. It was okay, never using that ink again. So I had to throw that bottle away, but I've been kind of gun-shy about using my... I don't have a whole lot of Private Reserve, but I have a few bottles. Avocado is one that I like for a green. I like their Tanzanite, but I've been gun-shy about using them because I just remember that slime and just like, ugh! So I don't know, but I suppose I should. Diatramentis Document Black. Yeah, I have been very curious about Diatramentis's, their document inks. I should try them. I'm going to write that down too, because that's been on my list to try. Okay. I'll put that, pump that up. Diamine Sapphire. With a name like Sapphire, it should be good blue. If there was one ink that was discontinued that you could bring back, what would it be? Any brand? Well, I'll tell you what, that actually happened. I loved Sailor Gentle Epinard. That's just a gorgeous, gorgeous green. Dark green. I love it. That could be my daily writer ink, actually. and it was discontinued. And I bought several bottles when it was discontinued because I was very sad. I had a pen pal give me a bottle, and it has been brought back, so I'm really happy about that. Another one I liked is way back, I don't remember the pen I bought. It was like a later Parker, but it came with I bought it in college. It came with a couple of cartridges anyway. And they were those, what are they called? Penman inks. And the green, whatever it was it called Emerald? The Penman Emerald. If I had to bring an ink back, that's it. I know everybody says the Parker Penman Sapphire. Not me. I had a cartridge of that too. It didn't, blues, like I said, blues and I aren't a thing. But I remember I loved that Penman Emerald. I'm pretty sure it was Emerald. So yeah, if I could bring one back, that's it. But I also have a success story of one that was brought back with Sailor. So there we go. Diamine. Ooh, I've used Sargasso Sea. In fact, I have a small sample bottle. Yes, that is a good dark blue. Thank you, March Meadow. Yes, I agree. That is a nice one. Let's see. Losing my place here. Oh, Peter brought up the old Caran d'Ache inks. Yes, the Colors of the Earth. I miss them because I was just getting back into fountain, I shouldn't say getting into fountain pens. For years I'd had the Parker Vector. I'd been a fountain penner, but then I just sort of, that's a lot of money for a bottle of ink. And it was at Grand Canyon. No, Saffron. That was it. I just thought that Saffron was gorgeous. And I kept going back and forth with myself. Oh, I should buy a bottle. Oh, no. Oh, I should. Oh, no. And then they changed their lineup of inks. I'm not as impressed with the colors they have now. They're just, they don't appeal to me for whatever reason. The bottles are okay. I liked the old bottles better. The old bottles kind of looked like perfume or cologne bottles. They were just kind of cool looking. And yeah, I was sorry to see that go. Yeah, Jerry, it was mold or some kind of a horrifying fungal growth. Anyway, yeah, was not going to use that ever again. My favorite all-round color of ink, even though you don't see it in pens in use that often, probably greens. I just like green. I live in a greenhouse. I painted the house green on purpose. Once painted my classroom green. Yeah. Oh, Peter. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I suppose it doesn't matter now, but yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of, is that I'd buy the super expensive bottle of ink and then just be disappointed with it. That, oh, it's way too dry. I don't like that. And there goes however much those bottles cost. I still have not purchased any Caran d'Ache inks just because of their price. They're expensive. Schaefer's King's Gold. Yeah, Schaefer. I don't know if I've ever used any Schaefer ink other than in a cartridge that came with a pen. Oh, no. Okay, I lie. A pen pal sent me a sample bottle of a vintage Schaefer green once. It was okay. It wasn't anything amazing. The color was very fake looking, but, it's Schaefer ink. At this rate, I'm going to have to refill that glass. All this, well, hello, Luke. Good to have you. Diamine. Funny thing, I used to actually work with a woman, work for a woman. She owned the place. I was in high school. But her name was Kelly, and then she got married to somebody whose last name was Green, so she became Kelly Green, and meant absolutely nothing to me. It's just, oh, Kelly's now going to be Kelly Green. And I mentioned it to my mother, who's an artist, who does a lot of art. In fact, my mother did this. And my mother says, oh, Kelly Green, like the color. And I was like, what? Of course, I was a teenager. But yeah, Kelly Green is an attractive color of green. And thanks to my boss, I now know what Kelly green is. That's one of the shades of green that I actually know. And this whole fountain pen ink thing has been another one that's helped me get to know a lot of names of colors as well. Yeah, I might have to refill that. Sorry. It's just so much smoke in the air. It even smells smoky in here thanks to those fires out west. So is anybody here located out west? And, you know, I'm talking about these fires and all the smoke, and but all I'm living with is the smoke. I just think of the people who are actually in it and burning, and I can't even imagine. There's a fire went through here in a little town east of here, actually, burned up a number of houses and other buildings, and I took some pictures of it for the newspaper, and because otherwise I wasn't going to go rubbernecking, but the paper wanted me to go do the pictures, so I did, and it was just a prairie fire that got out of control. We don't even know how it started, but it would have destroyed the town of Hettinger, except luckily there'd been a grain elevator being built between this little town and Hettinger, and all the construction had bare earth, and that stopped the fire, so that was a good thing. How often do I batch clean my pens? Not often enough. I have a bunch of pens sitting in the kitchen right now where the coffee maker used to be that need to be cleaned. I try to do them as I use them up, so you know, maybe I'm only like this guy just ran empty this afternoon, so I'm going to clean this one this afternoon. But sometimes you just, you know, you're at school, so you set it aside, or you're busy, you set it aside, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa. I'm kind of at the whoa point with my cleaning my pens. Now, I don't mind refilling a pen with the same ink either. I've refilled this dual fold twice with Platinum Cassis Black, Classic Cassis Black. So, but yeah, if I'm not using it, I like to clean it out. I've refilled, well, I constantly refill the Lamy with black, you know, so that doesn't get clean. Maybe at Christmas in the spring. This thing has been refilled a few times with Sailor Gentle Epinard. Yeah, March Metal, that is the fires out west. I think part of it's the climate change, but it's just been a lot drier out west, because I know when I moved to this state, August and September weren't full of smoke. But the last few years, every year, it's been smoke in the air from the fires out west. So, you know, I guess I can be glad they're not here. We're on the dry-ish side, but we're also a dry part of the country, so we don't have those kind of fires here. And when we do get fires, it's usually a prairie fire. Usually they don't burn up towns, but like I said, that one just kind of got out of control. And you know, that's why you have a lawn. I guess, you know, I don't like a lawn, but at the same time, the lawn helps act sort of as a fire break. But when you have high-speed winds, or, you know, the fire will come along, it'll scare a rabbit. You know, the rabbits will crouch down because they're all scared of the fire until it gets right on them and lights their fur on fire. And then they take, this is horrible, but they take off running on fire, and then they carry it with them. Or pheasants or grouse, they'll wait until the last minute when the fire is actually on them, and then they take off flying with the fire in their feathers and spread it that way. And it's just horrible to even think about. But, you know, they're animals. They don't understand it. But, yeah, you're right. In the UK, Europe, this summer has been very dry. I was looking at I wonder if that's what I saw in the news about Switzerland, about the dry weather. That's sounding right, because I remember a picture of a field and something about harvest. So that could be what it was about. Do I find cleaning pens a pain? Yes. I hate cleaning pens. It's kind of like mowing lawn. It has to be done, but I hate to do it. I like filling them. I like writing with them. I don't like cleaning them. That's just kind of my thing. So I'm glad, March Meadow, that you've had a few fires. But yeah, everything I've read, Europe has had a summer a lot like we get here, where it's just really hot and dry. You know, that's normal for us, but for Europe, it's really not, especially the UK. Yeah, sail cat, I agree. They are more often and bigger. You know, there's always been forest fires, and fire is actually a normal part of the ecosystem here in the Great Plains also, but nothing to this scale. And I feel like I fear it's just going to get worse. My brother actually used to do research in Arizona about fires and forests. A lot of what had happened is people started settling that areas, they would fight fires, and then they would that meant that the brush and stuff could grow closer and closer, and trees could grow closer and closer. I don't know about Northern California, but where he was in Arizona, the natural forest was more spread out. So fires would go through, they'd take out the underbrush, not really hurt the trees, and actually open up the cones on the trees for planting seeds. But when people started fighting fires and the underbrush grew in, and then the fires became a lot worse when they would happen. So, but yeah, I think they are more common now. And like I said, it didn't used to be when I lived in this state that August and September were the smoky time of the year. But they are now. And especially when I wake up and I just smell smoke and, but I'm smelling smoke. I'm not dealing with fire. There are people dealing with the actual fire and losing their homes. So, that's morbid. The Saddleworth Moor fire. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb with moors. I know a lot of those, there's peat bogs and stuff. And I've read some interesting things about fires in peat, where it can get underground, burn really, really slowly and kind of burn underneath everything. And then it gets oxygen and suddenly, woof, up it comes, just where you're not expecting it. And they actually have to dig to fight those kind of fires. Am I getting that right? Pen cleaning, extra credit for my students. No student will ever touch this baby. Kid version of clean and my version of clean are quite different. I have learned that over the years. Can't enjoy a British summer. Yeah, I've definitely heard that about raincoats and the boots. Yeah, every picture of Britain I've seen is just always wet. I have a very hard time picturing the country as hot and dry, even though I know that happens. What was the town? I saw some British production where they were in a town where there's actually a stream that ran across the main street. It was a little village. It wasn't a big town, which is probably, I can't remember it. But it's always stuck with me that the stream actually ran across the street, and the cars just drove through the stream. It, obviously wasn't very deep, but a lot of water. And I've always read about in British architecture, one of the worries is ventilating buildings and keeping air circulation so that you don't get mold or mildew growth. Guess what? In North Dakota, we don't worry about mold and mildew. It's too dry here. It just doesn't happen. The only thing that's going to mold is the stuff in my refrigerator, or apparently my ink. Let's see. You'd like to see Schaefer watermelon Persian rose. Yeah, I suppose Schaefer used to have a lot more colors. I've read about them. I should look. Another thing to put on my list. Vintage Schaefer inks, just to look. I don't really want to buy vintage inks, but it'd be interesting just to see what they are. So, yeah, I'm writing this down on my notes here. Levenger. I've only ever used one Levenger ink. That was Levenger Forest, I think. I liked the bottle. The color was okay. Never bought another one. Okay, it's called a Ford. Here we call them low water crossings. You don't usually find them in town, but there's a road west of here called Highway 16 that used to have two of them, two low water crossings. And in the past couple of years, they actually put a culvert there so that now you actually go over the low water crossing. I felt like some of the character of that road was lost. I could always handle the low water crossings in my Toyota Camry. I would always get out, look first, make sure it wasn't too deep before I do it. But it was just kind of neat. It was sort of a blast from the past, but I guess progress. The road also used to have a lot of old wooden bridges that have been, again, replaced by culverts. The wooden bridges, in fairness, were getting scary. Like, there were holes in them, and to the point I wasn't sure if I really wanted to drive on them anymore, so I guess that had to go. Oh, yeah, old people fires, oxygen tank, and smoking. I've heard about that. You know, I've seen it. Well, I do that with my students, where you put a glowing wood splint into oxygen, pure oxygen, and it ignites. Do my students enjoy pens? Some of them. I actually have 2 students who are seniors now who make their own fountain pens. The one especially is trying to make sort of a business selling them. What he does, though, is he uses kits. He buys his own acrylic. Sometimes he uses antler and stuff because, of course, the deer and the antelope shed their... Actually, I can't remember if antelope shed theirs or not. Deer do, for sure. So he uses those to make pens. Pen cleaning. Do I make my own pen flush? Yes, I do. I use... basically, I use a little bit of ammonia and... just a couple of drops of dish soap, and then I use mostly water. I don't have a recipe, really. I just, try to keep the ammonia a little on the smaller side. More often, I'll just flush the pen with water. So the pen flush is more handy for a really naughty pen that has a lot of ick in it. Especially, I buy... Do I have one here? Oh, yeah. This guy, this Schaefer Balance, got to see a lot of pen flush. It could use a little bit. I was hoping. Well, use your imagination. It won't focus on it. The Schaefer Balance got to see a lot of pen flush. Still not perfectly clean, but the pen flush started flushing clear, so I finally said, okay. Hard to get ammonia in the UK. That surprises me. That's a common cleaner here. I don't really use it myself for cleaning, but it exists. Do I use tame inks? Sometimes I'm a little naughty. Now, right now, this is... what is in this one? Gotta look. I keep track. Right now, this is full of Parker Quink Blue, so I'd say that's about as tame as it gets. I also will use more interesting inks in my lever fillers sometimes, but yeah, I'm trying not to use so many Japanese inks because I've heard that that's not so good for the latex sac. I don't mind using a heavily pigmented ink. Those are just kind of fun to have with those nibs. Just trying to think what all I've done. I have used Sailor Epinard in my Pond 52 a few times. So yeah, I suppose I'm not as careful as other people would say I should be. That was a long, drawn-out answer to a really simple question. I don't actually own a lot of tame inks. The Parker's Aurora probably would be considered tame. I have a Gerbon Blue Myosotis? I can't remember how to pronounce it. I'm horrible with French pronunciation. Yeah, I've heard that. So the bait, because a lot of the Japanese inks are more alkaline. I guess latex sacs, that's not good for them. They need a more acidic ink. I've used what are they? The Platinum Classic inks in them because they're more, being an iron gall ink, they're going to be somewhat acidic. Actually, really surprising when you look at the pH of some of these inks, how low or high that pH can be. Sailor Balloon, I don't know if I'd use one of the balloon inks in a lever pen. Personally, I don't know that necessarily because of the alkali, because of it's a pigmented ink, or not pigmented, and they're just harder to clean out. An ink guy never worries about what ink he puts in a pen. Well, I agree to a point. My babies, none of my babies except the Waterman Hemisphere is going to drink any Bay State Blue. Sorry. Yes, I know it could be cleaned out, but that's one that just... But yeah, I've gotten in trouble on these videos for what I've put in a few of them. Yeah, and the balloon inks are, in general, just harder to clean. That's the nature of a pigmented ink. I put, oh shoot, the platinum carbon black in this guy, this Sonnet, and well, autofocus probably still won't cooperate. But you can see it left some behind on the nib, which, you know, I tried scrubbing it off. It's not really coming that clean, so I know it'll eventually come clean the next time I fill it. That wasn't stained. I don't really know why I'm showing you. It was actually a gray converter, but yeah. Anyway, I'm babbling again. Platinum Preppy, yes. In fact, I did have a Platinum Preppy that I used for Bay State Blue for several years, and then I switched to the TWSBI 540. The main reason I switched to the TWSBI 540 is well, I was filling. That's kind of how the accident happened when I splashed Bay State Blue all over this wall. Is I was filling that Preppy, and somehow just folded the table when I got up to answer the phone, and ink everywhere. It really wasn't the Preppy's fault. I mean, the Preppy was part of the leak. And I washed my whole floor with bleach. I have a laminated, or not laminated, laminate floor. So I was able to get the Bay State Blue off of that with some bleach. I couldn't get it out of the wall. So that's why the wall in the living room is this color, because the living room wasn't at that point going to be painted. I was going to wait somewhere else. But yeah. Let's see. Jerry would not put Bay State Blue in a $1,000 US baby. No, I wouldn't put Bay State Blue in, even if it was a $1,000 foreign baby. It's just not going to happen. My Waterman Hemisphere, that's it. Carbon black in your Preppy now. Yeah, who cares if you stain a Preppy? That's part of their fun. And they're really good pens. I mean, I had some difficult inks that do dry out in them for a chemistry lab a couple of years ago. And then I forgot about the pens until months later. I mean, the next school year had started and I found them. And just out of curiosity, I opened up the pens and tried writing with them, and they started right up. You know, a cheap little $3 pen. Preppy is an amazing piece of engineering. It will stay there like in my Sailor. I'll always be visible that I used green pigmented ink in it. Yep. Yeah, it takes a while to get it clean. Are the blackboards green? Actually, nowadays, schools have gone to marker boards. At least the school where I teach. I use kind of a combination of pens on it. I use Nathan Tardif's wet erase inks for kind of the stuff that stays up all week. Like one of my boards is for my lesson plan, so the kids know what's coming during the week and what we're doing that day. So that I write with this wet erase ink. It's kind of like what they used to use on those overhead projectors. It's just a water-based ink. So I use that. I used to use the regular dry erase markers on the other board because my school actually recycles them. Here in ultra right-wing North Dakota, we recycle our dry erase markers. But I'm the one that started it, so there you go. But anyway, what was I trying to say? Oh, this year I bought some Pilot refillable dry erase markers. And so I'm curious how that's going to go. They refill by eyedropper, and I haven't had to refill them yet, so we'll see. But they hold on to the board by magnets, and that's another perk of these boards is they're magnetic. So I have some demonstration equipment I just put on the board, and it's right there. So no, they're not green. Actually, every school I've taught at that's had blackboards, they really were black. When I think about it, which is the color they should be. I don't know why green became the thing. Matt says he has a Preppy at work they made into an eyedropper. Yes, They are amazing for the price. They hold the ink well. They don't dry out. They write well. They're reasonably comfortable in the hand. The only problem I ever had with a batch of them, which doesn't seem to be an issue anymore, is that there was a batch of them that the cap would seem to crack after a while. But it hasn't been an issue. Have I tried formulating my own inks? I have thought about it. I haven't done it yet, but I have thought about it. Especially the iron gall just seems like a natural one to try. Yes, this bottle, it actually is apparently made of the same glass. I don't know what I got on it that it's so cloudy, but yeah, it is the same Coke bottle glass. Ink Guy is using those also good. They're pretty fun. They just, I like them. I used to do all my notes on the board with them, but then I ended up with Smurf colored hands. So I became, the kids would ask about, why are your hands blue? And it's just, well, I've got this Smurf infestation in my room, and I caught one this morning. I got tired of that, so I gave in and started using the dry erase. Let's see, March. When am I going to publish my fiction? When I'm happy with it. I'm probably overcritical, but I wrote the book. I did a redraft, but kind of in the middle of all that, a lot of things about me changed. A lot of my views on things, a lot of personal things. And anyway, once I looked back at the book, I said, wow, there's a lot of things here that just I'm not comfortable with anymore. So I've been basically rewriting it. When am I going to publish my fiction? Or no, I just read that one. Have I found if the Pilot dry erase marker has replacement nibs? I haven't seen them, but that is a good, important question, because I know the ones in my preppies eventually get kind of ill. And I like the fact that I can just pull them off and put a nice one on. I am kind of disappointed that Noodlers doesn't have a red, but I suppose I could be happy with that it has blue and black. I'm not one of those with the board that I need a rainbow of colors. Blue or black. I'll give my notes in one color, and then the other colors just for highlights. This year, I've been with the new laptop I got at school. I have let's see if I have one down here. You got a really close view of my eye. Sorry. I use this to edit my photographs at home some. It's a Wacom Intuos. I have the cheap version at school, Wacom Bamboo. And I bought it, let's see, 5 or 6 years ago to use to give notes. And it was wireless. It was awesome. And then the laptop the school gave me couldn't handle it anymore, so I just lost. And it's sat there for 5 years. I got a new laptop finally this year at school, and it's amazing. This Wacom tablet works again wirelessly, so I can walk around the room with it. And so I've been writing a lot of my notes with OneNote this year on the tablet, and I'd much rather write on a tablet and circulate the room than stand at the board and say, nope, nope, you naughty child in the back, you behave, even though I'm not near you, and using proximity to help you behave. So yeah, I'd rather walk around. I think that I was just answering about the dry erase marker. I hope so. Yeah, but yeah, I do want to research that, because they do get ick after a while, especially, well, even if nobody else uses them, they get ick. Am I using red inks for anything more than a highlight, a word, few words? Looks nice on paper. I don't like a bright red ink for writing, but there are some nice reds, like Noodler's Antietam. This pen right now is full of Noodler's Black Swan and English Rose. That's a very nice understated red. Just amazing. It's something you can stand to look at on the paper. Fill a page with red, it's just like blood. Yeah, so that's why people don't like a whole page of red. I took my notes. I don't remember what video this was for, but I took my notes for that video in red. Some pens in use, whichever one it was. But yeah, a whole page of red is kind of hard to read. Sometimes, writing with pen pals, just to show off an ink, I'll do a page in red. You know, it's kind of a thing. I change inks every page and just get a variety. But yeah, in my general writing, usually I use red that way just to highlight. Good for correcting. But I'm jumping ahead a few comments here because BDM 450 just brought up exactly what I was about to say. One of the troubles with red is people associate it with school and correcting work and having things marked wrong. And there's actually articles out there that recommend not correcting in red. Now, I correct in a rainbow. I don't typically use black to correct, but I use whatever is here. You know, a blue, black, a blue, a purple, a coral, whatever. I like some variety. Jerry mentioned that's why it's fiction. Yes, I suppose I could look at it that way. It just, you know, I used to have kind of a missionary attitude about religion, and I wrote the book partly that was in there, and I just wanted to get that out. It takes a much more neutral stance on religion now. I mean, the religion is there. It's part of the culture, and the good and the bad and the ugly are there. Now, keep going with my fiction. Absolutely. In fact, I really want this book done because I have 3 others I really want to start writing. I've got, well, they're all kind of related. 2 of them involve the same character. The other one actually involves a minor character becoming the main character. So, yeah, a lot of potential there. If I can just do a good job writing. Any news on when the big 3776 video? Well, I have to uncap them once per month, so I'm sorry. It's probably going to be December, but I will get there. It's just 1 pen a month. And I learned from a commenter this week I shouldn't be writing with this music nib because I write too small. Peter points out about full page of punishment. Yeah, I don't even know what ink it is. I wrote this a few weeks ago, and now I don't remember. Kind of looks like a Cassis Black, maybe. Oh, that's not quite a red. But yeah, I'll write my notes in all different colors. So, and yeah, this is an upcoming video too. I want to review the Cognitive Surplus notebooks. They have pretty nice covers. This one got dinged up in the shipping, but yeah, very nice covers and very nice paper. So that's also something coming up. Margaret Christie, oh, welcome. I don't think I said hi yet. Another, trying to remember, you're one of the UK viewers. Diamine Oxblood is bloody but very dark. That actually reminds me a lot of the Noodler's Black Swan and English Rose. I've used that one before. I like it. It probably would be a bit much in a wide nib, but yeah, it's dark enough not to be that attack. Like on, I don't know what you see on your screen, but on mine I have an end stream button here and a live button up here that are bright red. And when I look at the screen, those are the first things that just, bam, that's what I see because they're so bright red. And that's kind of the idea behind red stop signs, red stoplights, and so on. It's just a color that stands out. Now, I have a colleague who's colorblind. I want to say red is one of the colors he has trouble seeing. It's either red or green. I think it's red because I remember a comment about the fact that his son has red hair. Oh, so now a generation of students will associate punishment with, say, Kelly Green. Yeah, I've wondered about that. You know, you write on a page and it's like you squeezed a caterpillar out over the page. I don't consider oxblood as red, more like burgundy. Yeah, it's just a very dark red. I'm not too good with colors, so I'll defer to those who know colors, like people like my mother who understands that stuff. Me, and just, it's green. BDM just bought a Cognitive Surplus book. How do you like it? They are, I personally really enjoy them. And I think I'll express that when I review this particular notebook. March Meadow, DME Oxblood in the UK, it's a third of the price of Noodlers. Yeah, I suppose Noodlers being an import there would be more expensive. The Diamine inks here really aren't too expensive, at least that I've seen. I really don't know why I don't have anything other than one little tiny bottle of Diamine, other than I have way too much ink. That may be something. But yeah, I don't. Diamine is one I've heard good things about. Gerbon, another one I've heard good things about. And yet I have one bottle of Gerbon. I have that tiny bottle of Diamine, and that's it. Why? Need to try them out. Joaquin R. is here. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Happy to have you. I'm going to butcher this name, I think. Linaire W. I prefer orange or purple to red. Just ordered Diamine Pumpkin. That's an attractive color also. I want to say I must have had a sample, or somebody wrote to me with it. But yeah, there are several nice oranges in the Diamine line. The Pumpkin is one. The Autumn, what is it called? Autumn Leaves? That sounds right. Autumn Leaves is another one. There's a few really nice oranges. March Meadow mentioned Black Swan. Yeah, there's oh, you're continuing your comment. Gotcha now. And BDM 450 once says that the Cognitive Surplus notebook looks cool, but he needs something special to say in it. When I got my first one, I was like that. Now, show notes. You know, this is my driving video that I need to finish. I actually recorded the audio, was going to upload it this morning, and then I listened to the audio. I thought, ooh, I recorded that a little late at night. I was kind of tired, and I could hear it in my voice. So, going to redo that one. Let's see. How was the weather up in there? It's actually cooled off a lot. It's still very dry here, but that's kind of a normal thing for the fall. Harvest is in full swing. They're combining wheat. Saw a lot of fields today that had been combined. The hay is starting to get collected out of the fields. Very bright and sunny today, but it's only in the 70s somewhere. Here in the living room, it's 73 degrees. I have my windows open. It's just wonderful. I should be outside playing in my garden. We usually get a few hot days in the fall yet, but not right now. So, yay. Peter meant, okay, Autumn Oak. That was it. Not Autumn Leaves. It was Autumn Oak. Thank you, both of you. And Peter mentioned about the pumpkin making crystals. I haven't used the pumpkin, but I've had that experience with Diamine Ancient Copper. I called them crusties. Crystals sounds better, but yeah, it always would make. I had some cartridges of it, and it seemed like no matter what pen I put it in, I'd get these crusties that I'd have to wipe off. It was just this huge growth of crust on my pen overnight, and that made me a little gun shy. So is Private Reserve the same company as Diamine? And March Meadow says no, but Diamine made their inks. I did not know that. I thought Private Reserve was an American company that made its own inks. So, because I remember years ago, I still used to be in Noodlers has this ink drop program where they'll send you 5 samples a month, and anyway, they'd send the founder of Private Reserve died, and they sent like a plethora of Private Reserve inks to remember him. Krusties, pen boogers. Yeah, I guess pen boogers is even worse than Krusties. And Linaire brings up a good point. I think some pens are better than others with these Diamine inks. The ones that seal the best don't seem to have the crusting problem that others do. So, you know, I used it. I'm trying to think. My Sty pen up. What was the other pen I've had that in? A Kaweco Sport, I think. Whatever takes standard international cartridges. Diamine Oxford Blue is the same as Private Reserve Midnight Blue. I did not know that. And Matt is having no problems with his Ancient Copper and his Jinhao 992, so that's good to hear. That surprises me, but it's good to hear. And I will say the Jinhao 992 is actually a really nice pen that seals better than you would think a pen like that would seal. The smoke and the dry air is getting to me. I really got to walk away for a second and refill this. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I keep this big jug of water on my desk at school, and that thing is almost empty every day. I get dry doing all this talking. So it looks like somebody just left. Oh, Elizonda, or Eliz, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's gone. Yeah, I know all about sleep. I'm not a late night guy. It's 4:15 for me, so it's not even supper time yet. I am cooking some stuff out of my garden for sleep, though. Margaret mentioned the range of colors for Diamine. Yes, you're right. It is a wide range. And because I don't know why I haven't bought more Diamine inks. I should. They're safe. They're good inks. Why haven't I? Jerry mentioned about the Jinhao's cracking. No, that's what I gave away to my students. But I haven't had trouble with them cracking. At least not yet. 1938. Brian, welcome. Looking at his science lab books from school in 1956. And the only ink back then was Quink Red. And his work was written in Quink Washable Blue. And that's interesting, the Quink Washable Blue staying there. When I started writing, some of my earliest writing was, once I got a fountain pen, was with Quink Washable Blue. And the pages where I'd used that were so faded, they were almost illegible. So I don't know if they had a bad batch, maybe. Matt's got work tomorrow. Yeah, I suppose it's not a holiday there like it is here. We have Labor Day tomorrow. Liverpool. Oh, okay. I knew they were made in the UK. I didn't realize in Liverpool. And Margaret mentions, yes, I have too many inks already. That is true. That might be another reason why I haven't really been in a hurry to buy any more ink. Using some up. Peter is 20 minutes after midnight. Boy, if I tried doing a live stream 20 minutes after midnight, I don't know, you'd all think I was drunk probably. Brian uses Diamine Ancient Copper in a Falcon. Okay. Well, the Pilot Falcon is a good pen, which would have a good seal. So that's probably the amount of air, like people have said. Annie has taken the dog for a walk, so hope your dog has a good walk. Are any Diamine waterproof? That's a good question. Hopefully somebody knows. I don't. So Jerry has one that cracked around the clip, but the others are okay. Okay. Yeah, mine haven't cracked. I've saw a few pens that students had that they cracked, but that was more student damage. Good night, March Meadow. We're glad to have you. And yeah, I know what you mean. You got to sleep if you're going to work. I can't imagine going to school without sleep. Back in the 50s, Quink still had Solvix back in it then. I'm trying to think now. Solvix, is that the one that was so nasty that would eat pens? Because I remember the Super Chrome inks. That was their really scary one that came out. I don't know, so don't quote me on that. Peter says he does night shifts. Oh, so it's lunchtime for you. Okay, that makes sense. Margaret is ordering some samples to experiment and avoided pink. I don't have, well, the Cassis Black is pink. I guess you could call the coral. I have the Lamy Coral in a pen. I suppose you could call that a sort of pink. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the pink ink as long as you can read it. I had one, a Gerban ink that was pink, and it's just, you know, it's that kind of lavender-ish, pale pink. I don't know what to call it, but anyway, it was almost unreadable on the paper. Well, hello, Carlos. Good to have you. Matt. Oh, Diamine Registrar's ink. Yes, I think you're right. I think that one is waterproof. Ink Guy only buys samples anymore. Yeah, same thing. If I buy a bottle, it's only because I really, really want that ink. Mostly, yeah. I like samples too. They're just easier. You don't get committed, and as Margaret pointed out, I have enough inks already, so I really don't need more. So if I buy another bottle of ink, it's got to fill a hole in my collection that I apparently didn't know was there. Now, mixing inks, I have only done once. I wanted a rose gold colored ink, and I got a recommendation for a recipe from Fountain Pen Network. I used Pelican Edelstein tourmaline and amber in I forget the exact proportion now, to make rose gold. I don't know where the book is that has the sample in it. But I've since given away both bottles, because the two inks by themselves I really didn't care for. So it was neat, though, to see a color that just wasn't out there, because I was looking for a rose gold colored ink, and it really wasn't when I mixed them together, but it still looked good. Quink Washable Blue. Okay, had Solvix in the 70s. Okay. And yeah, that's a good point. I suppose that would actually solve the problem. Or contradict his nickname. Jerry mentioned the Parker Sonnet. Is it vintage? All right, so I feel a little gross admitting this. This one is from the 90s, so, you know, like the year I graduated high school or something, so that there's no way it's vintage. But it is older. This is the one I purchased in Fargo, and I liked it so well, I purchased one with a gold nib. One of the videos I want to film soon is going to compare them. So the one with the gold nib is, you know, just a little bit different, a little bit wider here. You know, Parker kind of refreshed their whole lineup of pens, and Sonnet was one of them. But on the Sonnet, the refresh was pretty subtle. The gold nib one, you can kind of tell, because the section is gold colored, whereas the steel ones, I guess it's black. So, and there are several from China. You said $12. I think this one was under 10. This is a fake Sonnet. This is a Bayor, trying to remember the number, 308. Might be a Bayor 308. Anyway, it's kind of like if you look back, some of the older sonnets had some finishes like this, and so it echoes that. You know, echoes the old finial on the Parker. And I actually like how it caps better. The writing experience is similar, not quite the same. You know, this one has a lot more feedback than the Parker, which I could work on the nib and smooth it, I suppose. Maybe I should do that. Ink Guy has sampled over 1,200 inks. Wow. So, dirty little secret. I will admit, I used to keep a swatch of every ink I tried, and I'd buy samples, and I had a little Monosomy memory card thing. I had several of them, and I would just I was up to 3 of them, I think, that I'd put swatches into. And then, I don't know, something happened. I just kind of lost interest in keeping the swatches. I suppose the main thing was I realized I never went back and looked at them. So I said, why am I keeping these swatches? Plus, every time I ink up a pen, I've got a sample of the ink and the color. I was referring to this more often than I'd refer to the swatches. So I just kind of gave up on it. Margaret Christie Rose Gold sounds great. Oh, yeah, using up ink you don't like by mixing it. That's a good thought. I suppose it helps if you know a little bit about color theory and how colors mix. Most of the time, like with watercolors, whatever, I went through a spell where I was trying that. I don't know, I'd usually end up with a shade of brown or black. Matt W., his 388 cap was nice when he first got it, but then the inner cap cracked and wouldn't stay on. Yeah. And that's one of those, oops, I just slopped water down the front of my shirt. That's one of those things that'll happen with some of the poorly made pens that are out there. I don't know if this one's poorly made or not. But yeah, the inner cap has to stay solid because once it cracks, it won't do what it's supposed to do. I'm not even sure. I almost think it grips down here. That's just how it feels when I put it in. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's where it does its gripping. I bought this pen recently, kind of on the spur of the moment, a Picasso Greek Irene. Oops, cover. There. A weird sort of a cap. So really this bit down here at the end of the section is where it must grip. And then the inner cap is quite deep inside of it. So it's just an odd pen. Oh, can it be removed? I would guess it can be removed. Let me look here. Well, okay, looking at it, it's not a screw. It almost looks like something that was pushed in, like a rivet or something. Because it's just a round hole in the middle of it. So I'm going to guess it's a one-way only deal. Upcoming purchases. Boy. I don't know. Last year I bought 2 expensive pens. I've thought about it. You know, there's a couple I'd like. There's a stipula on Goulet Pens website right now I'm very tempted by. It hasn't been released yet. A stipula, is it Etruria? Anyway, it's in an interesting finish. I'm very tempted by that. I think that's about the only thing I'm considering as an upcoming purchase. I just, I bought 2 expensive pens last year. I just don't have a hunger to do that again right away. I bought, I don't have the Aurora 88 here, but I bought this and an Aurora 88 last year, and it's just, okay, that's enough of that for a while. Most of the rest of that money is getting invested up there because hopefully in another year or 2, I'm going to put a new roof on this house. Not leaking yet. I fixed the leak that was up there, and but realistically, it's getting toward time. I can see the age on the shingles. It's time to get serious about it. Oh, good. Yeah, Margaret, I agree with you. I've had a few of my cheaper pens that have broken, but most of them seem to be in good shape. Matt. Okay. I get that. Something, oh yeah, Uber Pens is, I have to stay off that website because I know if I go there right now, I will see something and want it. Uber Pens is a very good website for vintage pens. If you don't like repairing vintage pens, especially, it's a good one. I actually do enjoy repairing them, so I'll probably look on eBay every so often or Etsy and look for one that just needs some work. But yeah, my Uber Pens, that's how I found out about Central Pen. Trying to think if I have any. Oh, yeah, here's Here's one I bought on my Ober pens. It's a Senator. I think I've reviewed this one. Is this one I bought on? Yes, I bought this one on my Uber pens also. Another Senator. You know, me and my slim black pens. And this was actually an Etsy find. A very strange Senator. I don't know what to make of the material it's made out of, but check out this blind cap. That's the blind cap. That's weird. I want to know what was the thought process behind that. It's just strange to me. Oh, let's see here. Where are we at? Parker Ink made in India has Solvix on the label. Oh, yeah, you know, and sometimes different countries have different environmental laws too, so that would make sense. India's laws may be different. And yes, Peter, definitely that roof, that's more important than getting a nice pen. I don't want to wait until it becomes a problem. Parker 17 Super. Oh, congratulations. That ought to be fun. And yeah, I've wondered that too. Where do they get their new old stock German pens? You know, the last time I was on there was a Matador, and I really had to talk myself down from it because I just, wow. I just spent, you know, money on some Parkers this summer. I was just like, no. So I've been off my Uber pens since then because I know I will be tempted. Peter Brown has been tempted by a Conklin Durograph. I owned one. Now, I didn't have whatever that flex nib is that they come with now. I just had a regular medium nib. My feeling on my Conklin Durograph, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. The tines were slightly misaligned, so I had to, you know, mess with that a little bit, which didn't thrill me. That I was pretty early in my fountain pen exploration. Now, once I got it fixed, it wrote okay, but I just never felt... I never enjoyed it, and I had no problem giving it away. Margaret mentions her Conklin feed was very dry. Mine wasn't. Mine was fairly wet. I still have a Conklin word gauge with a nib on it that I like very much. Roof more important than pens. Well, you know, I want to make sure my pens have a good home. Plus, I don't like the hole in my kitchen ceiling because of that hole that was in my roof that I had to repair. So, yeah. Any experience with the Parker 45? Yes, I was using one. In fact, I want to say that's one of my I don't have it here. I want to say that's one of my upcoming reviews. I did a Parker 21 and a Parker 45. Parker 45, nice pen. And I think that's the one. I get them confused when I'm not in front of them. I think Parker 45 was the one where you could switch out and put in a different nib. Mine came with an extra fine. It wrote really nicely. It, you know, it looks a little worn, but it does write very well. Yeah, Brian, that's exactly what I had. A Durograph in the amber finish and a medium. And it was wet and it wrote just fine. Ooh, yeah, the 45s. That's something, if I were to get another 45, I'd look for as one of the flighters. They were interesting color. I shouldn't say color. Interesting design. Just looked good. And it's funny because, you know, the 45 I have is a vintage pen, but they were sold during my lifetime. You know, so anything from the last 42 years should not be called vintage. Margaret, yeah, you want to keep your pens dry. Yep. And yeah, I don't need the rain coming in getting watery ink. And it was kind of upsetting to have that big hole because it was last summer. We'd had a drought all summer. I didn't know there was a hole up there until we finally got rain. And I came home and it was like a lake on my kitchen floor. I'm like, what? And I look up and there it's still just pouring out, even though the rain had stopped. So yeah, there's a hole in my kitchen ceiling. It looks terrible. And even though I've got it fixed and the water's not coming in, I've still got all the damage to the ceiling all the way that the water ran until it found a weak spot. So ick. Brian has a Parker 45 that he bought in the early 60s. Yeah, they were sold for a really, really long time. I was surprised. Matt has a sack on the 45. Mine came with a converter, so that's just what I've used. I didn't know that they even came with sacks, so that's interesting. Well, Jerry, I'm glad you were able to make it. Yeah, it's not dinner time here yet, but you're an hour ahead of me, so I suppose it's time. So I'm not vintage yet. I will never be vintage. Even if I'm 100 years old, I will not be vintage. It has to be older than me to be vintage. Sorry. Brian, a lot of new old steel nibs for the 45. Yeah, they had quite a selection of nibs for them. In my long-term experience with modern dual fold, the main thing I don't like with it is that it's a screw cap. For a daily writer, you know, that Lamy 2000 is just snap, 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 snap. This thing has to be unscrewed. But yeah, it's a very comfortable pen. I don't post it. It's not comfortable posted. I like it just like this. But yeah, I really have enjoyed this. I've had it. I must have bought it back in July. And like I said, this last fill, I just refilled it without washing it out. I just refilled it with the same ink. I've been very happy with it. It's a nice pen. A very quality feel. And you know, I know people like to denigrate the modern Parkers, but modern Parker, great pen. 2 more great pens, and I've got some of the cheap ones too. They're just great pens. One of these days when I feel like spending money on a pen again, I'd like to get a Parker Premier, especially the black one. I think that one's gorgeous. Yeah, I can imagine using it as a daily writer. I don't think it'll ever replace the Lamy 2000. In fact, I was writing before this with the Lamy 2000 in my book, actually. Okay, so the 45 sack was in a metal holder. You know, that might have actually been a type of converter, because I think they had some like aerometric converters. I won't swear to that. I could be wrong, but that's sounding right to me. Okay, and Peter has just corroborated what I just said. Yeah, it came with an aerometric converter, and you can use a modern one. Okay, the one I have must have just come with a modern. The previous owner put a modern one in it. I have a Schaefer here. Yeah, this Schaefer. It's from the 70s, but same kind of deal. It has a aerometric converter in it, but I can pull this out and I can put in a Schaefer cartridge. I lost my line here. Where was I at? Matt W. Okay, just to thank you. Yes, Parker 45, I believe, is their longest running pen line, because that was a very successful line. And okay, BDM 450, thank you. That is a good question. I was kind of scared about that question. I was looking. I have a list here somewhere of upcoming Survivor pens, and I reviewed the Parker. Or I'm sorry, the Noodler's Conrad back in. No, I can't read it because it's backwards. February 13th, 2015. So I was happy because I said, "Oh, good, I don't have to address that till next year." But I will address it. Oh, thank you for visiting, Linaire. We were glad to have you. But I'll be honest, I have not inked up that Conrad. Once in a while, I'll ink one up because I feel like I should. I just get annoyed with them. They're not high-quality pens. And when they write correctly, they can be just wonderful. But I've become more aware of their shortcomings and realize that pens at that price point must also be, or, pens at that price point can actually be much higher quality. Well, good night, Matt. Thank you for visiting. Always happy to have you. And yeah, I know that midnight thing. I won't do this at midnight for me. Sorry to all my European and New Zealand viewers, but I just can't do it. But yeah, I don't know. I probably will never buy another Conrad. It's a neat pen to experiment with. Put a different type of nib in it and so on. But yeah, they're no longer favorites, and I hardly ever ink them up. I still think that Forbidden City finish that I have is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite finishes of any of my pens. But yeah, I just I don't ink them up, and sorry. But I will be revisiting that pen next year because I'm trying to do the pens I've reviewed when I started. So this year I'm doing the reviews I did in 2014 that I still have. Next year I'll do the 2015 reviews I still have. So some of the others that I will be doing yet this before Christmas. I have a Pilot Custom 92, Lamy Safari, which I might have uploaded that one. Or maybe I filmed it and haven't uploaded it. And a Kaweco Sport, which were mostly reviewed in October of 2014. The Pilot was in November of 2014. Janice likes her Conklin Mark Twain pen. I'm not familiar with that model. I know that Mark Twain is kind of part of their advertising. And is that the one that has the crescent filler? And Peter, yeah, you're right. Pen taste does evolve. My earliest pens were actually not the Noodlers. Noodlers were where I suddenly discovered this whole world of fountain pens. But I had been using Parker Vector and a Parker Frontier and a Cross Century for about 20 years before that. I still have a Parker Vector. I still have a Parker Frontier. I don't actually have those actual pens I had back then. But yeah, Noodlers was exciting, but they weren't. I like other pens that I have better. BDM 450. I've given away a lot of pens. That's what happened with the original Parker Frontier and the original Cross Century. I gave them away. I now have a new Frontier because I like it, and the Vector I wanted to keep, and I lost it in one of my moves. And probably the move when I came here, because I have not been able to find it since I lived here. Who knows? It could be in my old house. I did move across town. Margaret Christie. Yeah, the early pens do teach a lot. I learned a lot from Noodlers. It's kind of interesting, just seeing how a feed worked and how to heat set and how flex worked and understanding a flex nib and how, the ink and so on. I mean, the whole mechanics is right there, and you could take the piston out. You could see how the whole piston part worked. Okay, so you sold your Pelican M800. That's a pen I'm curious to try. Expensive, but I am curious about them. Okay, Margaret, we are happy to have you. Oh, you have to open the office. Yeah, it's probably good if you get to bed, considering what time it is where you are. By the time you're getting up, I'll be going to bed. It's kind of wild talking across the world like that. But I'm kind of starting to fade too. I'm on my second glass of water, and I can feel it in my voice that it's going. It's just this dry air is awful, and the smoke in it. At least I wasn't coughing and hacking as much as I was afraid I'd be doing during this video. But I'm also running my air conditioner, not as an air conditioner, just as a fan, because it's too cool to run that thing. but that way it's filtering the air as it goes through it, and I think that's helping make it a little clearer in here. So maybe that's why I'm not hacking. But anyway, I think I'll it's time for me to close this off too. So I wanted to thank everybody for watching. It was great to have viewers from all over, and I was happy that some of you, when I don't know the answer, there are people willing to jump in and answer questions, because there's a lot of things I don't know. So I want to thank you all for watching, and I wish you a good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever you are. And thank you. Yes, BDM 450, I will do this again. I don't think I could do it every weekend, but I'll do it again on another Sunday, and I'll announce in advance. I learned how to do announcements now. I just announced it at the wrong time. I did the announcement wrong, so we'll get that right eventually. So I want to thank you all for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.